everyone, and welcome to a very special, albeit sad edition of The Wedge. By now, all of you have probably heard of the death of MCA, a.k.a. Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys, one of the great musicians of certainly my generation. Well, the team at muchmusic put together a amazing tribute to him. There's some cool footage of them throughout their career. Anyway, so we're going to have that for you right now, and then we're going to come back and talk about the Beastie Boys, play some videos. So enjoy. There's a certain artist that cause seismic shifts when they come out.
You can't talk about the rise of hip-hop without talking about the Beastie Boys and about Adam.
People are going to remember MCA as a pioneer in hip-hop. They'll really remember the doors that they broke down.
He was a rapper, he was a punk, he was a director, he was a human rights advocate, and it's something that we all aspire to.
For those guys to be lucky enough to be kind of like the leaders of a generation, they were so important.
They really were one of the first bands that were our band.
On behalf of the Beastie Boys fans, MCA, thank you. You've given us so much to celebrate.
Adam Yauch, a founding member of pioneering hip-hop group the Beastie Boys, died Friday in his native New York City. He was 47 years old. Known for his scratchy vocals and infectious energy, Yauch, who rapped under the name MCA, had been slowed in recent years as he battled cancer of the salivary gland, something he revealed in a video message to fans back in 2009.
So the reason that we're here talking is because I have some pretty heavy news. Well, about 2 months ago, I started feeling this little lump in my throat, like you would feel if you have like swollen glands or something like that, like you'd feel if you have a cold. And so I didn't really think it was anything, but then just recently when we were over in Europe doing promotion, I started to think I should talk to my doctor, and so I called my doctor and saw him when I got back. This was about 2 weeks ago, and he sent me to a specialist, and they did tests, and I actually have a form of cancer in the gland that's over here.
On April 14th, the Beastie Boys were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. While bandmates Ad Rock and Mike D accepted the honor, MCA was too sick to attend. He was admitted to hospital the same night.
Unfortunately, he couldn't be in Cleveland because he'd been undergoing treatment, and it was just too hard for him to be there. And he definitely wishes he was there, but he wrote a great speech.
Did you call him up from sitting at the table or anything like
that? Yeah, there was emailing and calls going on, so that was sweet.
Adam MCA Yauch, 1/3 of the pioneering hip-hop group the Beastie Boys, has passed away at the age of 47. We found out the news this morning, and I think we're all deeply touched and affected by this news.
When I heard that MCA had died, I just froze. Pins and needles all over my body because we all knew he was sick, but I thought it was getting better. I just didn't know it was as bad as it was. And it's just such a loss on so many levels.
So this is the first time I've actually, I think, been legitimately upset by the passing of someone that I didn't know. Like, not even a musician, just like any media personality.
I was on a plane. I had just left Toronto and landed in New York City when I got the news that MCA had passed away. So here I am in Brooklyn right now, and you can see even on the bars, rest in peace, MCA. So a lot of love to be had here for Adam, yo.
I'm Mike D. And I'm MCA. And I'm the king at rock. And if you want to have money and juice like us, the Beastie Boys, then you better watch muchmusic now.
What the Beastie Boys represented, and they really were one of the first bands that were our band.
Cause nobody can do it like Mixmaster can. Come on, I got the D-double-O style.
How long have you known each other for?
You know, it's funny you should ask that, Bob. We've known each other for a good 30, 40 some odd years.
Yauch and I, we used to live together in Chinatown, like before we had our first album out or anything.
So I was in another band called The Young and the Useless, and they used to play gigs like with us.
The punk rock origin it has everything. It's like where you come from. It's like not playing by the rules.
You guys have punk roots.
We all used to go to clubs and see hardcore shows and stuff.
It's just because it's a form of music that we have fun with, that we always like.
We grew up more on like punk rock and then hip hop.
Yeah, it just seems so unexpected, like these three boys from Brooklyn, three white boys, three Jewish kids, infiltrating the Brooklyn and New York City underground hip-hop scene and proving their stripes.
I understand that a lot of people in America were caught by surprise when the Beastie Boys came out. And then everybody said, oh my God, they're all white.
We were actually black up until about a year and a half ago. And
the transition,
I don't know how it happened.
So say what you want,
You guys would start off opening for Bad Brains and then move on to Madonna.
Now what happened with Madonna? Tell me the story about how did you get on tour with Madonna?
We just sort of met Madonna. She's in an opening group, so we decided to give her a break and go on tour with her. And see what happens. She's a star now.
What's the reception? Was it good?
Yeah, well, she went over great. It's strange.
Obviously, Run DMC was getting traction and things like that, but and this is a really more of a sad commentary on music, but white music establishment has always needed a white artist to kind of break through, and for the white establishment to be like, oh, this music is good, and the Beastie Boys were that group. But instead of just being that group and being totally terrible, like most groups that are in that position are, they actually turned out to be really into the culture.
We just finished a tour with Run DMC, just getting ready to tear the place up. It was pretty exciting to be able to be on tour with a band like Run DMC and watch them play every night.
I was just like a huge Run DMC fan, and then all of a sudden, with Rick Rubin, we met Russell Simmons.
Yo, Russ, what's up? How you doing, man?
The thing I loved about the Beastie Boys always was that they didn't try to be something else. They didn't try to be cool like Vanilla Ice. They didn't try to be like Run DMC or this. They were the Beastie Boys. They were so natural, and that just fit like a glove into hip-hop. Russell saw that.
You mind if I just get in here in the
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
How you feeling out there, Canada? All right.
Def Jam Records is one of the most important record labels in the history of the business. What the Beastie Boys were able to do was take something that was truly a New York sound and explode it.
The hip-hop creators of that era were, they quickly endeared themselves to those boys and accepted them and embraced them within the fold.
I was a very big fan of theirs, and by me being on tour with them, come on, man, that did a lot to me.
Hip-hop is just a really good form of expression because it just has so much direct information. It's like a lot more of other forms of music and art are a lot more abstract in their way of presenting things. And hip-hop just seems to me real straightforward. It's a real good way of putting across what's really going on in a solid way.
You gotta fight for your right to party!
We actually switched labels after our first album. It worked out the best for us.
Did you feel pressure to live up to this kind of party guy image?
Well, I think that was kind of part of us leaving Def Jam.
Okay.
Actually, was that it kind of got to this point where this thing that we started as a joke or making fun of, oh hey, we're drinking a lot of beer, or hey, we're joking around about that stuff, and then it kind of became what we did.
We like beer!
A lot of this earlier stuff, it's disrespecting women. With most of it's goofing around and joking around, and it's really taken the wrong way. I feel at peace with a lot of the stuff now that I do to kind of look back and remember some of the stuff that might have felt uncomfortable at the time.
They were a group that got that point of being famous and became better people.
Do you ever miss your bad boy antics of the past?
Nope.
What was the turnaround for you to where you became more socially conscious?
When I was younger, I was involved in a lot of activism. Probably just after License to Ill, maybe around 1988, I started getting more interested in spirituality. And through my interest in spirituality, also interest in how what I'm doing affects the rest of the world.
Should I ask you any currently books that you guys are reading?
I'm reading this book called The Life of Milarepa. This is about a Tibetan saint, about his life. Checking that out, and it's really quite interesting to me.
In that interview, I also saw the beginnings of the political activism of the MCA. At that point, I saw these guys transforming from B-boys to B-men.
A devout Buddhist, Yauch co-founded the Milarepa Fund in 1994. The nonprofit organization supports and brings awareness to the Tibetan people's nonviolent struggle against Chinese government oppression.
Mostly I was over in Nepal and traveling there, and I just met some Tibetan people there. I just started learning about the Tibetan people and what's going on there. This insane oppression that's going on and genocide of their culture, where the women are being sterilized and forced abortions are going on, and monks and nuns who are sworn to nonviolence going to prison for just speaking their mind, for just saying Tibet is a free country. Once you see what a warm culture it is and how incredible the people are, and then you just start seeing how it's being totally repressed and destroyed. It's just like, what's going on?
He put together, as well as he could, a group of people and entertainers and musicians to bring light to this notion of moving toward Tibet independence. And the first Tibetan Freedom concert that he launched was in San Francisco in 1996.
The Tibetan Freedom concert was a massive event. I remember going to RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. to see the Beastie Boys at the Tibetan Freedom concert. There's 100,000 people in there. Just think of that, 100,000 people to see a show that the Beastie Boys had put on, an MCA, being the real spiritual force behind that. It was a show that had Sonic Youth on it, and Radiohead, and REM, and Pearl Jam, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
We just wanted to ask everybody who's here today to come to the demonstration tomorrow, because the demonstration is going to be really important. It's like the most important part of this whole thing.
And it's a time when everyone needs to get behind that momentum and push as hard as they can and not let it just fall off. I think it's incredible that this many people are learning about it, learning about what's happening in Tibet and learning some of the values of nonviolence. But again, I think that there's a lot more work that needs to be done and a lot further that we need to go to get to a point where Tibet is free.
Did you do many benefits?
No, this was brought up, and I think this is about the only thing we'd agree to do, really. Yeah. Because everything else is a bit messy, but this is really, really clear cut.
We have some experience of this kind of thing over the years, and taking a lot of blows for it, actually. So all respect to Adam Yauch for taking this on.
He put a rock and roll face on that cause, and it was crucial. In the same way that Bob Geldof and Midgeur did it with Live Aid, he did it with the Tibetan Freedom Concert.
It's sad, but I'm really grateful that I got to grow up in a time when we had stadium rockers that actually cared about something.
He just sort of seamlessly floated through the process. No freaking out, no nerves, and just from one thing to the next. And I think that must have been the way he carried himself throughout his life.
Sometimes I get a little bit tired from this stuff, but I probably have more energy to do this than to do anything else. I'm definitely no perfect being. I'm no enlightened being. I got a long ways to go, but I'm a lot more patient now with people, and I think I've definitely come a long way from where I was at.
The first time I ever saw the Beastie Boys do a video was Fight for Your Right to Party.
Kick it!
It was like 1987 at like 6 in the morning. It was on muchmusic. And I saw this video and I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome.
You gotta fight for your right to party!
When that came along, and just the whole look, that was a revolution.
Started out there doing the fun, but later on they really started pushing the limits of what a video could be and what kind of things you can make happen. They're really jokey with it. A lot of hip-hop acts weren't that funny, weren't that open to satire. The Sabotage video will forever be one of the best videos ever made.
When when the Sabotage video came out, and it was mustaches before hipsters were rocking them in an ironic way. It was dynamite. Dynamite when that video happened.
And there's something in the crappiness of, you know, the car they're driving, the kind of like faux cop drama that's unfolding, their horrible wigs, their horrible suits, their huge desires to like play and screw around. And I feel like that's what the Beastie Boys did so well throughout their career, is kind of sabotage expectations.
Musically and visually and just about everything they did, they went to places no one really went.
Boys did with music videos is they were always trying to do something new, and I think they really captured the fun and energy we expect from videos, and they took the songs to another level.
He had an alter ego in the world of filmmaking, was Nathaniel Hornblower.
Yeah, Nathaniel's a little wild. He's my cousin. He's from Switzerland. He's a bit crazy, though. He wears the old traditional Appenzell gear. Appenzell is like the part of Switzerland he's from, and he'll be wearing, like, you know, lederhosen and like a big feather in his hat and like little flowers on his suspenders and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it seems funny to us, you know, but to him it's serious business.
So you are Nathaniel Hornblower?
Let's not get crazy. Yeah, we won't address that at this time.
I feel like throughout his career, he's adopted new personas. Perhaps maybe helped him, you know, think of himself in terms of a visual creator, a filmmaker. Maybe in that mindset, he could kind of clearly define a different persona than, you know, MCA the rapper.
The Beastie Boys are back after a 6-year absence.
The Beastie Boys have so many great videos. I love Triple Trouble because I'm in it.
If you wanna know the real deal about the three.
I was hosting the Much Music Video Awards red carpet show.
Hey, what's this? Yeah, hi.
And they were shooting their own video on our red carpet. When I actually went to their car, they jumped out in costume, and I didn't expect that. Classic Beastie Boys. I'm sure MCA, who directed that video, did his best to edit me out, but there's still like half a frame of me in there, which, you know, is my proudest moment ever.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 MCs, and they're on the go. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, the Beastie Boys!
I remember when I worked at Much Music, I presented them as a Trailblazer Award at the Much Music Video Awards. And the reaction they got when they went on stage, man, it was beyond epic, man. They were the Beastie Boys.
Keep it going full steam. Sweet to be, sour too nice to be. When on the tough guy style, I'm not too keen. Trying to change the world, I'm a plotting scheme. If you can feel what I'm feeling, then it's a musical masterpiece. Hear what I'm dealing with, and that's cool at least. What's running through my mind comes through in my walk. True feelings are shown from the way that I talk.
Generations from now look back into what hip-hop was back in our day. What would they say about the Beastie Boys? What would you want them to know about the Beastie Boys?
Yo, y'all suck since Spaz Monkey.
When I think of MCA, I think of someone who used to be a frat boy, who really grew into being a gentleman.
I've met many people through my time being a VJ at Much Music, and he really left an impression on me.
They made white kids really proud, okay? And they let a lot of nerdy kids like myself know that you could do it if you wanted to do it.
People are going to remember MCA as a pioneer in hip-hop. They'll really remember the music that was made and the doors that they broke down.
For me, like, the real impact they had was just helping me expand my world, you know, teaching me about, like, things that you just don't learn about.
You know, there was substance to what they were doing. There was always room for playing, and there was always room for shit disturbing.
Everybody will remember him as the guy who taught people that you can make mistakes and grow up in the public eye and be cool and be principled and be really funny.
I would be a much more boring person without the Beastie Boys.
He was a rapper, he was a punk, he was a musician, he was a director. He was a feminist. He was a human rights advocate. And he was just a really cool guy for all the right reasons.
Adam, we miss you already, babe.
Doing our best to just kind of live life too and have a good time in the midst of the, insanity.
Someone offer with love and respect to the end.
Welcome back to The Wedge, everyone. I hope you really enjoyed that tribute to MCA that Much Music put together. I watched it myself and had a lump in my throat the whole time, which is weird because I normally don't care when celebrities die. It's no big deal. But, when it seems like Adam Yauch was such a good person for him to pass away, it's more like a tragic thing. Beastie Boys to me are super important for a lot of reasons. Number one, because they started out as a punk hardcore band. Way back when, 1982, they put out a single on Rat Cage record, Pollywog Stew. They later put out an EP called Cookie Puss, also on Rat Cage Records, which was their transformation into a hip-hop group. But this is an unbelievable punk band, and they would have played with the likes of the Bad Brains, the Misfits. Adam Yauch, MCA, later on in life, wound up being a Cro-Mag himself. Yes, he was a member of the Cro-Mags for a while on bass. So it's fitting that we start where the Beastie Boys started, and that is with Holy Snapper. From the shoes on my feet to the hat on the very top of my head, the influence of the Beastie Boys on fashion, particularly my fashion in this case, is undeniable. They were really instrumental in starting what has become known as streetwear and streetwear clothing. They had a clothing company called Extra Large that had stores all over the world. In Japan, they had one in Toronto. They still have stores in Japan. They also were really instrumental in bringing back the idea of the throwback sneaker and the throwback sports team uniform. They were kind of instrumental in realizing the awesome look of these old aesthetics. They also started this fantastic magazine called Grand Royal that people like Vice and people like Spin Magazine have cribbed some notes from, shall we say. They had actually a really direct influence on people like Nigo from Bape, who started out as a sneaker pimp for them. Sneaker pimp is actually a term that they coined that refers to someone that would go out and find rare and collectible sneakers. Well, the band Sneaker Pimps took that from the Beastie Boys. It's amazing how much penetration they had in the worlds of fashion and also in film. You think about Spike Jonze got his start making videos for the Beastie Boys. A lot of people that got their start that are now in the film industry making, quote unquote, real cinema got their start making Beastie Boys videos. And that was because the Beastie Boys went a lot deeper than most bands do in their cultural reference points and their cultural knowledge. Take this video for Gratitude, for example. It's actually based on Pink Floyd's Live at Pompeii. Big stack amps, the way it's shot, everything's taken from that. And the song, here's a bit of a nerdy note from you, it's actually not originally a Beastie Boys song. It was by the band Brooklyn, which actually featured two of the Beastie Boys, MCA was one of them, and two members of Murphy's Law getting together and kind of making a Quicksand-style post-hardcore before Quicksand or before post-hardcore even existed. So here's Gratitude for you on The Wedge and our tribute to MCA.
a record.
Gonna kick it root down.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Wedge. Thank you everyone for watching our tribute to MCA and Adam Yauch of the Beastie Boys. My first encounter with the Beastie Boys way back when in like 1986, when I was a 6-year-old, I used to get up super early in the morning and go downstairs and watch religious programming and music videos on muchmusic. And one of the first videos I fell in love with as a kid was Fight for Your Right to Party. Well, I asked my parents, please, please, please buy me that record. And they went out and they got me the copy that I hold in my hands here. To this day, I still have it. I still love this record. And one of the songs that has stayed with me for my whole life is No Sleep Till Brooklyn, because, of course, it features Kerry King on guitar from Slayer. How awesome. Beastie Boys and Slayer way back when. Well, rest in peace, MCA. Thank you for everything you gave us, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, cheerier weather and cheerier circumstances.
Who the hell are you?
We're the band.
The band? Where's your instruments? What the? We only play rock music here.
Why you dissing, man? Rock and roll!
Yeah, dude, like, I think we're the band. I've been waiting for you boys all day. Get on stage.
Yeah.
No sleep till